Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna श्री श्री राधा गोपीनाथ भगवान की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे गौर। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भगवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter number 1, chapter number 18, titled First by the Brahmana Boy, text number 35. Krishna Gate Bhagavati Krishna Gate Bhagavati Sastad Yudhvatagamunam Tadbina setu natyaham Shashmi pashyate me bhalam Krishna Gati Bhagavati Sastad Yudhvatagamunam Tadbina setu natyaham Shashmi pashyate me bhalam Krishna Gate Bhagavati Sastad Yudhvatagamunam Tadvinasetu nadyaham Shasmi pasyate me balam Therefore I myself shall take up this matter and punish them. Just witness my power. Purport. The inexperienced Brahmana, puffed up by a little Brahma Tejas, became influenced by the spell of Kali-yuga. Maharaj Parikshit gave license to Kali to live in 4 places as mentioned even before. But by his very expert government, the personality of Kali could hardly find places allotted to him. The personality of Kali-yuga therefore was seeking the opportunity to establish authority, and by the grace of the Lord, he found a hole in the puffed up, inexperienced son of the Brahmana. The little Brahmana wanted to show his prowess in destruction, and he had the audacity to punish such a great king as Maharaj Parikshit. He wanted to take the place of Lord Krishna after his departure. These are the principal signs of upstarts who want to take the place of Sri Krishna under the influence of the age of Kali. An upstart with little power wants to become an incarnation of the Lord. There are many false incarnations after the departure of Lord Krishna from the face of the globe, and they are misleading the innocent public by accepting the spiritual obedience of the There are many false incarnations after the departure of the Lord from the face of the globe, and they are misleading the innocent public by accepting the spiritual obedience of the general mass of people to maintain false prestige. In other words, the personality of Kali got the opportunity to reign through this son of the Brahman, Shri. Translation again. After the departure of Lord Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead and the supreme ruler of everyone, these upstarts have flourished, our protector being gone. Therefore I myself shall take up this matter and punish them, just witness my power. Om Jnana-Timirandasya Jnananjana Shastra Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sahagana Naganatam Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhalu Sute Devi Pranamami Kalipine Vancha Kalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhu Devacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So this is the final, I guess, words of the Brahmin boy Sringi. We'll see in the next few verses. The previous verses, he's justified his act for what he's going to do. He justifies his father's act of being silent. And now he's explaining what he's about to do, and the next verse, what he actually does. So he pronounces his curse. Now, after this, the boy returns home, and he saw the snake on the father's shoulder, and out of grief he began to cry very loudly. And as the story goes, as the pastime goes, Sringi, out of his pride, having cursed Maharaj Parikshit, Samika Rishi, knowing this, begins to chastise his son. So in this verse, having known the sort of context happening here, you can understand that Sringi, he became puffed up. And he's becoming puffed up, or sign of pride, came from the fact he thought himself a very powerful Brahman. Now, today's class, I would just want to touch on a couple of points. First, we'll talk about Prabhupada's mentioning about Kali Yuga and the false upstarts trying to represent Krishna in this particular Yuga. But I also want to touch upon how the Brahmanas are powerful. In fact, the Brahmanas are so powerful that they can perform the activities of the Kshatriya. And we'll go on to that regarding this particular point. By touching on Prithu Maharaj's pastimes. So we'll come to that later on. But first here, Prabhupada is talking about how this Brahmana was inexperienced. This is the most dangerous part, having a little knowledge, not having a complete knowledge. It's the same thing with Aswatthama. Aswatthama was born as the son of Jonah, and Jonah, out of affection for Aswatthama, gave him the knowledge of the Brahmastra. But Aswatthama did not learn how to withdraw that Brahmastra. So just a little knowledge was enough to create havoc, that Krishna had to come in and protect the scene, protect his devotees. So the same thing with this young Brahmana boy, Sringi, that he was popped up with just a little Brahma Tejas. And you can understand, his little Brahma Tejas was that, understand this thing, he's a young boy, he has potency. What young boy in this day and age has potency? All their potency was playing and making a mess. Otherwise, he had such potency that he was able to kill such a great king as Parikshit Maharaj through his Brahma Tejas. So the power of the Brahmana. Of course, there's a lot of caveats there that Parikshit Maharaj allowed himself to be cursed, Krishna allowed this to happen. But in this scenario, you can understand that Brahmanas were extremely potent and qualified. That even the young children, the young sons of the Brahmana, they were imbued with such power. But the problem here is that this Brahmana boy was inexperienced and that he was influenced by Kali Yuga. So you can understand here that it's not actually because of the Brahmana boy that Kali Yuga entered. Because Kali Yuga could not enter Parikshit Maharaj's kingdom without Parikshit Maharaj's own personal sanction. And it's because of Parikshit Maharaj performing such a action out of character, that caused Kali Maharaj an opportunity to enter into the scene. It is not because of the boy that he got to enter. Parikshit Maharaj was powerful enough to stop Kali Yuga from entering his kingdom. And so by the will of Krishna, he performed an activity out of character. And Kali Maharaj used that opportunity to enter into the scene and used the Brahmana boy to be able to finish off Parikshit Maharaj, to be able to continue to reign this Kali Yuga. Of course, you need to understand that Krishna is the one who's in full control of the scene. One thing I was thinking of actually was that we can also understand that Krishna put Parikshit Maharaj into this difficulty because Krishna wanted Parikshit Maharaj to return very quickly. Parikshit Maharaj also had a duty, or Krishna had wanted Parikshit Maharaj to be able to be in the proper situation to receive Srimad Bhagavatam for Sukadeva Goswami for the rest of the world, for the rest of human society. Prabhupada writes in one of his purports that just because Krishna came 5,000 years ago and left, doesn't mean that he's not giving the opportunity for other living entities who came after his departure to experience his pastimes. No, Krishna left Srimad Bhagavatam, left Bhagavad Gita, so that all the conditioned souls who didn't get the opportunity to appear, rather to take birth during the appearance of Krishna, they get the opportunity now simply by reading. Because reading of the pastimes and experiencing and seeing the pastimes is not different. Because by reading of the pastimes to the proper Guru Parampara, then we'll be able to perceive the pastimes appropriately. In fact, what to speak of just seeing, during the period when Krishna was present within this world, Prabhupada says not even just a handful of devotees were present that were able to understand Krishna's position in full. Prabhupada says just a few people were there that understood Krishna's position in full on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So you can understand it's not simply seeing, it's by hearing that we can understand about Krishna's pastimes and understand a bit about Krishna. So through Parikshit Maharaj, Krishna has given us the greatest gift, Srimad Bhagavatam. Now, you can see here that Parikshit Maharaj gave license to Kali to live in 4 places as mentioned here before. But by the expert government of Parikshit Maharaj, Kali wouldn't find the places allotted to him. And therefore Kali was trying to find a loophole, trying to find an avenue in which to establish his reign. And so this door opened. And this puffed up, inexperienced son of Brahmana was the reason why the Brahmana Varna was destroyed, and from that Brahmana Varna the whole Varnashrama system was destroyed. And Kali was able to then take that as his stronghold and rule Kali Yuga by making everyone less than Shudras, to the extent that they're all engaged in these sinful activities. In another place it's mentioned that Kali during Satya Yuga, you must have heard this pastime, Nala Damayanti. Damayanti is the wife of a king called Nala, and Damayanti is known as one of the most chaste women of the many women like Gandhari and so on and so forth. So there, Damayanti, it's mentioned in this pastime that Nala was the king of the Nishada race, and he's extremely beautiful and qualified woman. He was a follower of Dharma. And one particular kingdom, the king was offering his daughter Damayanti, who was also of similar quality and characteristics. But Nala was so honest and so righteous that demigods wanted to test him. So as Nala was entering into the kingdom of this princess, the demigods Indra, Agni, and I think it was Vayu or Varuna, they appeared. And they also decided to tell Nala that we would also like this queen, this princess as our queen. And so Nala, being a righteous person, he understood the superior position of the demigods and he didn't want to displease them. So therefore he said, okay, sure, I'll go as your messenger. And so Nala goes as the messenger of the demigods. But by this time, Damayanti had already heard the qualities of Nala. So her heart was already sold to Nala. But she hadn't seen Nala. But as soon as Nala appeared on the scene and had requested the audience of the princess, he began to explain how he had appeared there just to give good news of the demigod's proposals. So anyway, to fast forward the story, it so happens that he performed his duty or his promise as he had given to the demigods, and the demigods being pleased with Damayanti's chastity and completely sold out to Nala. Then what had happened was that they gave up their desire, and Nala and Damayanti were married in due course. Now the pastime goes in such a way that over a period of time, Nala's brother wins a gambling match against Nala, and then Nala and Damayanti get sent to the forest, and Nala gets sent to the forest in such a way that he's naked, he lost everything, and Damayanti has only one piece of cloth, and she rips off half the cloth for him, and then they live in the forest. And things happen, and Nala gets separated from Damayanti, and for many years, she roams the forest trying to find her husband, maintaining her chastity, whereas he ends up in the kingdom, maintaining himself, hoping that one day he'll meet Damayanti again. So that's the story, and then the story goes that they meet again, and then they reunited and everything. But the point of the story I wanted to make was that it's mentioned that Kali appeared on the scene as soon as the demigods left Nala and Damayanti. And it was the period, I believe, of Satya. Satya or Dwarka. So the personality of Satya or Dwarka was also present with Kali at that time. And Kali told that how can this Nala, who's from a visitor race, how is he qualified to marry such a princess as Damayanti? So then he entered into Nala's body. And it's because of that, Nala lost all good qualities and he lost in the gambling match. He entered the gambling match, lost the gambling match, left his wife in the forest, and ended up in a difficult circumstance. So the reason I wanted to mention is that Kali, he does these things. It's mentioned later on in a different place of Mahabharata that when Duryodhana and Karna and Shakuni were meeting after the Pandavas had left Indraprastha and Hastinapur, having lost the gambling match, and they entered the forest, they were camping nearby a lake or a river. And Karna thought it was a good idea, to rub some salt into the wounds of the Pandavas, that why don't we go there and show them our prowess? But then Duryodhana was saying, my father will let us do such things. So Shakuni said, why don't you just go there and just tell the king that we're going to count the cows in that particular area of the kingdom. And so Dhritarashtra knew what was going to happen, and he chastised them, saying, what you're going to do is very inauspicious. The pious Pandavas are living in that area. Do not go and disturb them. And Duryodhana, understanding the soft heart or the soft spot of Dhritarashtra, he implored his father, no, we're just going for a nice cruise. We're just going there to meet, count the cows, and we'll take a whole entourage, just as a vacation there. So then he takes everyone, literally. He takes the whole Kuru army, he takes their family, and he goes and he parks right outside the lake. So the river, rather, on the other side where the Pandavas are sitting in deerskin, performing sacrifices, living on fruit roots. So as soon as they get there, they set up a nice accommodation, and there's a lot of revelry. They're enjoying nice foodstuffs, a lot of singing and everything. And Bhima's on the other side fuming, because Bhima's character is like that. See the Kauravas, he's telling Yudhishthira, just see these wicked sons of Dhritarashtra. That here we are struggling and suffering, and they're enjoying simply seeing us struggle and suffer. We should go and do something about this. But Yudhishthira said, no, it's not our duty. We should be patient. Thank you. So then what happened at that particular point in time was that when the sons of Dhritarashtra were camped there, they were enjoying the lake as well. And then at that particular point, the Gandharvas were there. And the Gandharvas owned that particular section for their enjoyment. So then this particular Gandharva, I think it was Chitraratha, he saw Duryodhana and told his company that get out. This is not your place, not your time to enjoy. It's the time of the Gandharvas to enjoy it, but we own this place, so we get out. We don't deserve to be here. And so Duryodhana was thinking, I'm the emperor of this world. Who does he think he is? And Karna said, yeah, let's fight. So then they started fighting. And as soon as the Gandharvas started developing an upper hand because of their superior powers, Karna left the scene. He ran away. And Duryodhana was left to fight with whatever soldiers he had. And so this Chitraratha overpowered them and eventually bound up this Duryodhana. And having bound up Duryodhana, then somehow or other news went to the Pandavas. And Yudhishthira Maharaj, hearing this, he thought, no, we must go and save this son of Dhritarashtra. And Bhima was completely bewildered. What are you talking about? Because of them we're here, and now you're asking us to save them, and you're going crazy. Because the whole time they were in the forest, Draupadi, Bhima, Nakula, Sahadev, and Arjuna, they remained neutral. But Bhima and Draupadi continuously chastised and harassed Yudhishthira Maharaj for grounding. Completely, all the time. And Yudhishthira Maharaj would go into a depression cycle, and then the sages would bring him out, and then they'd go to another place. And again, Draupadi would vent her anger, saying that I was, just roped in the dark. Anyway, so then what happened was that Bhima asked, why are you doing this? Why are you asking us to go and fight? You should just let that rascal go, let him suffer all his misdeeds. But then Yudhishthira Maharaj tells that internally, within the Kuru dynasty, we are 105. They are 100, and we are 100 Kauravas and 5 Pandavas. But from the outside, we are 105. We are together. So we should not let anyone externally come and damage the appearance or the good name of the Pandava dynasty, of the Kuru dynasty. Anyway, what happens is that he gets rescued, and Arjuna and Bhima are rescued today. And as Duryodhana is going home, he decides to commit suicide. And it is this particular point in time that Mahabharata explains that Kali and all the demons and Dandavas presented themselves as sound, shabda, some sound. And they told Duryodhana that don't worry, we will imbue you with our power so that you can fight against the Pandavas. Because they also wanted to reign, because it is they who had then descended into the Bhuloka, this particular planetary system, to be able to enjoy it. And they were the burden of Mother Earth. They had already descended there. So then they wanted to continue enjoying it. And Duryodhana was there only like pawn to be able to stop the Pandavas from coming and destroying their particular path of enjoyment. So again, another situation where Kali comes and changes the situation. So Kali personified himself. He acts in different yugas also, and he acts for the particular establishment of adharma, to destroy dharma. And he goes to go through this Brahmana boy. So when this Brahmana boy decided to show his prowess to destroy Parikshit Maharaj, you can understand that he wanted to assume the position of Krishna. He had such an audacity to first of all think that he was better than Parikshit Maharaj, and second, he had the audacity to think that it's within the Brahmana dharma to be able to do so, and third, he had the audacity to think that because Krishna is not here, it's my duty to do it. So here's the three things. First, he had the audacity to chastise Parikshit Maharaj. He didn't understand the exalted nature of Parikshit Maharaj because he was an inexperienced Brahmana boy. He had no idea, no clue. Second, he thought that he could chastise the devotee of the Lord because he was a Brahmana. So here's another typical example of a Brahmana thinking he's better than a Vaishya. And this is prominent, this is the beginning. This is the prominent thing in this day and age. One who thinks he's born of a Brahmana, even particularly during the Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's time, everyone thinks that they're greater than a Brahmana, although a Brahmana thinks he's greater than a Vaishnava, simply by his being born in such a family. So here, there's the seed of such an anartha appearing in this particular yuga. And third, he thought himself to be able to take the position of Krishna. Many times we can see this principle in action, when someone does something wrong to us, we must establish dharma, we must put it out on them, we must, balance the scores, right? So this Srini, this Brahmana boy is now showing that seed of Kali Yuga, which begins with quarrel and hypocrisy. That the same person is not being able to follow his dharma, he's chastising the Kshatriya for not following his dharma. And to further establish this point, we can go to the pastimes of Prithu Maharaj. Now, Anga, the grandfather of Prithu Maharaj, he wanted to have a son. So when he was performing a yagya, the result wasn't coming. The demigods weren't appearing. Although he was a very qualified, pure devotee of the Lord, the demigods and Vishnu were coming to appear there and to receive their share of the yagya. Because unless they receive the share of the yagya is not considered complete. And then this kingdom and the king doesn't develop the benefits of performing such yagya. And so in that sense it's just simply a burden, a waste of time. So then the king, at that particular point when the performer of the yagya, he's in the yagya, he performs Mauna Vrata. He doesn't say anything. But then with the permission of the Brahmanas, he begins to speak and ask why. I am performed so much yagya, I'm a pious person, a devotee of the Lord, so many things I'm performing my dharma, why is it that the demigods are not coming? And the Brahmanas agreed, yes, you are a pure devotee of the Lord, but you don't have a son. So then he asked, what should we do? He said, you should pray to the Lord for a son. So then they performed the yagya to obtain a son. That same yagya was then transformed to perform the yagya to get a son. And so, I think his wife's name was Sunita, I think. And she got a son by the name of Vena. But the problem was that although Anga was a pure devotee, Sunita, being the daughter of death personified, she kind of had an influence on the son's consciousness. So being born from such a lineage, although having a Vaishnava father, somehow or other, that trait of death personified, that impious adharmic trait, had entered into Veda. So then Veda, he was such a ruthless person. As a child, he would kill all his friends if they didn't cooperate with him. And he would take fun in throwing them into the river and watching them drown. That was his pastime. So that's what he enjoyed doing. So then Vena, later on, Anga, he tried so many things to chastise his son, so many things to rectify him. And this Vena wasn't, listening. So then he decided, it is better that I didn't have a son at all. And Anga understood that actually this was a benediction given by the Lord. So he took this opportunity to take conquest and he left the scene. He went and attained perfection. And so Vena was then established on the throne. But prior to being established, the Brahmanas, the same Brahmanas that had invoked the Lord, the same Brahmanas that the Lord had acknowledged and had glorified at that particular point, those qualified Brahmanas understood no king. Actually, they searched the whole kingdom looking for Anga, but they couldn't find him because they were so attached to him. But then they couldn't find him, they decided we have to do something for the benefit of society. There's no king to take care of the rest of the Varnas. There's nobody there. And if there's nobody there, all the rogues and thieves will then flourish and Adharma will become the state. So then what they decided to do was establish Vena as the king. And they thought if we establish him, he'll develop responsibility and he'll come to the role. He'll fit the role, he'll fit the position. But Vena, he became a tyrant. Although he didn't allow anybody in his kingdom to steal or rob or cause any problems, he assumed the position of being the supreme personality of Godhead. But get this, the Brahmanas at that particular point in time, they felt disturbed that although they had the prowess to destroy not only the Vena, but to destroy all upstarts in the kingdom, they knew it's not their duty. And they withdrew. Rather, they decided, let us go and speak some good words to this king, and let us turn his consciousness, let us turn him around. So they go and speak to him very sweetly, and they glorify him as well. And then they say to him, you should worship Lord Vishnu with yagya. And Vena, being so puffed up, he goes, you crazy people, what are you talking about? You have lost all sense. I am the Lord. All yagya should be performed to me. I am the beneficiary. So you should all engage in your activities for my benefit. And so the Brahmanas get furious because you understand that they've come in a humble position to tell the king to do something that's according to Dharma. And this guy is going over his head and he's going and telling these Brahmanas something about Dharma. And so the Brahmanas then decided that's it, it's not going to work. And so immediately they cursed him. Then and there they cursed him to die. And Sunita, being very upset, preserved his body in oil. And fast forward, Brahmanas took their bath, they came out one day and realized, oh, there's a dust storm and this is due to all the thieves and plunderers causing havoc in society. We need to establish a new king. So they didn't know what to do. So they performed their sadhana and tapasya and they decided to go and they found the body of Vena, and they churned the body of Vena. But rather, they churned the body of Vena. The thighs became Bahuka, so all the impious activities became personified as, I think his name is Bahuka, the beginning of the Nishada race. And then the arms were churned, and there came Prithviraj and Archie. So here's an example that the Brahmanas, very careful to perform their duty. They weren't ready to overstep the line to take the duty of Kshatriya. But here, this inexperienced Brahmana boy has caused Kali to enter because of this puffed up nature, this puffed up idea. And so finally, I have a few minutes. I wanted to talk about how this mentality has come into the scene to such an extent that we have so many people in this world who are taking the position of being an avatar of Krishna. And it comes from this very simple Brahmana boy being attached to his body and not having full understanding of the situation. Because I was hearing a lecture by Jayadeva Maharaj. This idea of I can take the place of the Lord comes from the fact that I am this body. That I am identifying with all these designations. Because what happens there is that you forget that you're the servant of the Lord. And what other position is there? To try and become the Lord himself. And that nature then expands false ego to the extent that I am this body, everything in relation to this body is mine, everything is for my enjoyment. So you can understand again that this Brahmana boy was infected by this false ego. So you can see the seeds of Kali Yuga are sprouting through this activity. And they're given this facility simply because of Srini's experience. Now, Prabhupada saying there's so many false incarnations. Later on in Prithu Maharaj's pastimes, Prithu Maharaj is performing a yajna, the 100th Ashwamedha yajna. And Indra, being known as Satakraku, being the performer of 100 such Ashwamedha yajnas, he doesn't want Prithu Maharaj to take his position, neither does he want to take the same fame. This is how jealous Indra was. So what did Indra do? He appeared on the scene and stole the cow, or rather he stole the horse that was meant for the sacrifice. And what did the son of Prithu Maharaj do? He chased Indra. But Indra then assumed different forms of so-called sannyasis. And so Prabhupada mentions there that this is also the beginning of so-called sannyasis and gurus and spiritualists appearing on this planet, appearing in the world. Because of this one act, Indra has allowed this particular type of indecency or adharmic activities to be performed. And you can see it all over the world. So many people are taking the position of being God, and they're mistreating and exploiting the natural spiritual obedience of society, and they're taking that position. So this false prestige eventually comes to the extent that we want to become the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and we will assume that position. So I guess I'll end the class here with a takeaway point, so that you can understand that how much Mahaprabhu emphasizes so much, that you can see just a little Brahmana boy with a little bit of false prestige has caused so much havoc. How much havoc that will cause in our spiritual life? Because we're surrounded by Vaishnavas. And if a little false prestige comes up, our words and actions will cause difficulties in those around us, especially Vaishnavas. And by doing that, then we are causing a difficulty in our life. So here's the takeaway point, that when the moment comes where you think that you should take control without taking guidance or taking assistance from senior devotees in the Parampara, you can understand Kali Yuga has entered. Kali has entered and he's ready to begin his dancing, begin performing his activities of dissension amongst the Vaishnavas. Yeah? One stick you can break, many sticks you can't. So Maya, she uses Kali to single you out and destroy you. And it comes from this false ego thinking oneself to be the body and to be the Lord of everything. So here's a small point you can take away. So we discussed a bit about the inexperienced nature of the Brahmana and how because of him, Kali Yuga entered, but although that's because, not because of his curse, rather because the Supreme Lord, the Lord, had arranged Parishit Maharaj to exit the scene. Second, how this Brahmana boy had outstepped his dharma, and that's another reason why this whole Varnashram system collapsed. And third, this seed of false pride and prestige that will affect society, and specifically that must be guarded against by Vaishnavas so that we can continue to associate and serve the Lord to our best extent and degree for His pleasure. So I'll end here. It's now 8:47. Thank you for staying and participating and hearing. Please forgive me for any errors and any mistakes. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Shri Radha Gopinath ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.